Well, the Navy has Top Gun and the Army has Captain America. The Air Force now has a blockbuster movie of its own, Marvel Studios' Captain Marvel, which centers around an Air Force fighter pilot turned superhero. Air Force Times' Stephen Losey recently saw the film, before me I might add, and sat down to talk about it and the Air Force's role in producing it. Steve, thanks for talking with me today about this movie. So first of all, I gotta know, it's on everybody's mind. Do we get any tips and clues for Avengers Endgame and Captain Marvel?
Well, I think it's probably best for people to discover those sorts of things on their own. But I will tell you this: one thing Captain Marvel does well is set things up and plug in some gaps in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, answer some questions that I didn't even really consider. So there are some interesting questions that are answered there.
So walk me through. You've seen Captain Marvel. You're far ahead of me in all this, and I'm honestly a little jealous here. What did you think of the movie? Is it worth all the hype we've been seeing about it?
It's a very good movie. It's entertaining. Brie Larson does very well as Air Force F-15 pilot turned superhero Captain Marvel. She and Samuel L. Jackson are a great buddy pair. They team up to figure out what has gone on in Carol Danvers' past. And much of the film deals with the intergalactic war between the warrior aliens, the Kree, and the shape-shifting Skrulls, and what happens when that war arrives on planet Earth.
Okay, so with all of that, the Air Force had a big role in this. Walk me through that role, both kind of the behind the scenes and what we're going to see on camera.
So I talked to the directors, Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, and they told me that it was very important for this movie to get Carol Danvers' service as an airman right. Kelly Sue DeConnick, the writer who wrote Captain Marvel for the comic books, she comes from an Air Force family. She always talked about Carol Danvers as having kind of a Chuck Yeager swagger, so that was kind of the center of their character. So it was important for them to they went to Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada. They sat down with a lot of pilots, including Brigadier General Jeannie Leavitt, who was the first female fighter pilot in the Air Force.
That's a pretty cool role model to have for something like this.
It's not bad, yeah. And they learned a lot from her, everything from the minor parts of being a fighter pilot, like how you climb in your jet, how you carry your equipment, to how you think, how you act, the kind of competence and bravery and sense of humor that a fighter pilot has that allows them to do things like fly millions of dollars of technology at Mach speed.
So, Steve, the Air Force obviously put a good bit of money and a good bit of time into supporting Marvel Studios and all this. Do you think they got their money back? Or their money's worth out of this?
The Air Force ends up having kind of less screen time than one might have thought from watching some of the behind-the-scenes material. When I talked to the directors, they said that their first incarnation of this movie in their minds had more scenes with Carol Danvers in the Air Force. They ended up paring that down to focus more on the intergalactic sci-fi stuff. But what's there is good. The Air Force scenes are good, and the Air Force backstory sets the tone for the film. And what's even more interesting is Captain Marvel has a lot of hat tips and tributes to famous aviators, Air Force culture, and people like Amelia Earhart, Pancho Barnes, who was the female stunt pilot who ran the Happy Bottom Riding Club.
That's quite the tribute. That's not one I would have expected in this movie.
Famed in The Right Stuff. But also Major Stephen Del Bagno, the Thunderbirds pilot who tragically died last year, consulted with them and ends up having a cameo in the film. There's multiple tributes. They put the word Cajun, his call sign, in the background of several scenes. It was very important for them to pay homage to Major Del Bagno.
So this movie does not shy away from showing the Air Force and what it's meant to be. And finally, do you think that this is going to be the type of movie for the Air Force where it was compared at first to the Navy and Top Gun for the Navy, of getting people wanting to join the Navy? Do you think this might get people to join the Air Force?
They're certainly hoping so. When I talked to Brigadier General Leavitt about her participation in this film, she said that she hopes that a lot of people will look at this film and see what the Air Force has to offer, and perhaps consider that as possibly a career, especially young women who might want to be fighter pilots.
All right, Steve, thanks for taking the time. I really do appreciate it, man.